hello everyone. We will be doing technology in sourcing, right? So what is the importance of technology, right? So how it is changing, the whole phase of strategic sourcing. Okay, so needless to say that, we know that information technology is now becoming inexpensive, right? Thanks to the innovations happening in multiple aspects of technologies happening around. Okay, but the more important thing is that, right, before getting into what should be the right technology, I should have a good command on what that for what purpose I need that technology. Okay, so what kind of information as a sourcing function I should acquire from others, and what kind of information I should disseminate to others, so that one can decide and one can procure the right technology. Okay, so now you see here within an organization, right? So purchasing or sourcing function, they get information from all these areas, right? The common information is what product each section wants, what are their needs, right? But other than that, specific to the need or maybe some other reasons, all this internal sections, right, the departments or other functions of any organization, there is a information flow between them and sourcing. Similarly, there is an external information also, right? So what are the general market condition, what is the product information, what are the supplies capability, transportation rate, prices, right? So what is happening in other country, macroeconomic. Okay, so all those aspects also, this is something called external information. Okay, now if we know that what information is required within the organization and what required from outside the organization or the outside world, right, if this is also important aspect, right, before venturing into which technology or which IT tool will help me in addressing that. So what goes out of purchasing, right? So, right, for example, cost prices adjustment, right, that might go to accounting department, right? And what orders have been placed, that might go to stores and purchase stores section, so that they can receive the product according to the purchase order. So these are few examples, right? So these three slides are to emphasize on that. So the information load on the sourcing section, right, from the internal and the external forces. Okay, so we are definitely looking for technology, right, which should be cost effective, accessible, speedier communication, like whatever has been happening in each and every function and domain of any organization, right? So I would skip that, because this we all know that how technology can in general help, right? But specific to sourcing, what happens, right? Whenever we do management information system, we know there are different levels of system, right? Enterprise or management or decision support, right? So but uh, for when it comes to sourcing, right, what kind of levels of information systems we need? So one should know that one requirement is operational level systems, right? In sourcing, when we are in the domain of ordering routine, repetitive or large volume, since it is routine, okay, so these kind of information systems would be useful in our day-to-day purchase order management, right? Creating request for quotations, templates, okay? Supply related information, right? Or commodity prices. So these are all at operational level. When we come to management level, which is more of planning, controlling and decision making. So in sourcing, what is the balance we see here? Budget information, spend analysis, right? Supplier performance, right? Raw material forecasts. So wherever simulations and algorithms, right? So we have spoken about supply risk. Okay, so what is currently going on in supply risk management, right? So the best way is to simulate the whole supply chain. Okay, if I'm a company, I'm procuring from 100 suppliers, I would simulate. What I would simulate? I would say that suppose out of this 100 supplier, one supplier would not be able to supply for 1 day. If one supplier would not be able to supply for 1 day, how my production would be affected, right? Similarly, in services, one can see if one employee is absent, or maybe like, we are working in partner with our software vendors. If 1 day they are absent, right, or if they won't be able to deliver, how it is going to impact me, right? So next scenario, if it would be absent for 2 days, how it is going to impact? Okay, so it might happen, it won't impact a lot because my strategy is to buffer that product. I already have inventory of that product, so even if 1 day that supplier won't supply, it's not going to impact. Okay, so such kind of analysis one can do, right? If it would impact a lot, then I can change my sourcing strategy, right? Oh, for that product I must go for multiple sourcing. Okay, so that level of intelligence, can come only from algorithms, right? Many ML based algorithms, right, and simulations. The next is like, knowledge level systems, integrated and automated systems package, right, where automated transaction systems have to be there, right, linking companies database, access to DSS, decision support systems, right, spreadsheet graphics if you want to create your dashboards, continuously monitoring your key performance indicators or monitoring your suppliers KPIs. Okay, so we need, this kind of system. Again, this is a broad level, right? So one should know that how to map what level of information system for which categories of sourcing, right? So we have evolved from like, e-sourcing tools. Okay, we will actually discuss both, right? I think these are all tools, but interesting would be like, let's map to the processes which we have done, right? What is our sourcing process? We have divided into 3 aspects: pre-sourcing, sourcing and post-sourcing. Okay, if we have to go by each and every individual activity, correct, that digitization is there, right? So e-sourcing tools are there. We will first see what are those e-sourcing tools, but we have now advanced, like, from here. Now we have got many vendors who supply integrated solutions for e-procurement. Okay, so we will quickly see that, where, what is the scope of technology helping in each and every activity of sourcing, correct? So we all know pre-sourcing, some activities are required spend analysis. If now I will tell you, you can just see that how many vendors we have, right, for spend analysis, right? So he's doing. So better to top 10 spend analysis softwares of 2023. You can type that, you will see that, you'll get number of like, players in the market. Okay, so that means one must like, ensure. But now after doing this course, you know what is spend analysis, right? You can create your own softwares, right? This is what, advantage. You can create your own answer. How many you have got? Right. Yeah, so this is for at individual level, right? That is very easy. But if you have to manage, how many suppliers Walmart is having? Any idea? Walmart? So none of the supply chain course be completed without mentioning about Walmart, 7-Eleven, Dell, correct? Because they are the best practices, right? How many suppliers? 1 lakh. More than 1 lakh? Now you tell me spend analysis for 1 lakh. 1 lakh suppliers. Okay. So this is a really cumbersome task, but we need technology to do that. How we can do it on annual basis, right? Then forecasting demand. Okay. So forecasting demand is one thing. What Dell does, right? How Dell has been very successful in sending the customized system to the doorstep, right? Or I can say how it was initiated by Dell, right? It was only possible because Dell was sharing the forecast, or you can say every order to the Dell was actually the order to the supplier on the virtual integration platform. Okay. So there has been a history in the supply chain where the supply chain has evolved from so-called vertical integration to virtual integration. Okay. So vertical integration is when all the activities are done in-house, starting from ores, even Mother Earth, right, from there till the product is going to the market. This is called vertical integration, right? The best example is our Ford cars, right? T model black cars, right? And even 7-Eleven, if you will go to the 7-Eleven Japan company, you will see that, how they evolved. Like, 7-Eleven is very famous. Like, so far they have not come to India, but very soon we would see that also, right? They are convenience stores. Mostly these stores are along with the petrol bunks where people can go and get the ready to eat fresh food, right? So 7-Eleven has evolved from the era where uh, they would be like involved in vertical integration, where they would even own the cows to get the milk and then process the food and then prepare the fast food and then deliver to this thing. So they have come from that vertical integration, and Dell is best example of virtual integration. So in a nutshell, this forecasting demand, like so one has to have that information sharing perspective in mind if we want to avail the technology and have technology in place to share this forecast. E-marketplace, when we have to identify suppliers, okay, we must need, good e-marketplaces, right? Or maybe e-catalog. So what happens is very similar to our experience as a customer. If we want to buy something from Amazon, right, we want to know about each and every feature of that product. Okay. So it's similar lines when we will see now B2B environment, the buyer would like to see each and every specification of product. Okay. Now those products are not as simple as like we look in Amazon. Okay. For example, if Rolls-Royce have to like procure a part or component for the engine, they would really like to know whether the suppliers have good catalogs. Catalogs means what are the engineering specifications, what are the material specifications, right? What are their strengths, right? What are the sizes, right? In which sizes, what are the dimensions, with all drawings, right? Now each and everything, if available in e-catalogs, right, those suppliers will get more chance, to become part of that organization. Okay. If I am a buyer, I would be looking for, good catalogs, especially e-catalogs, which would save my time, right? There are now companies who are serving, this e-catalog services to the companies. Okay. So one should look for, such technologies, right, for that purpose. And then comes sourcing, request for quotation, reverse auctions, right, bid optimization, right, negotiation, total cost approach, and purchase order issuance, right. So we will spend more time now here. What is reverse auction? So before that, there is some examples given. You can go through this sites to know about the online catalog, like how detailed catalogs are there, which really saves buyers time to select the supplier, right? E-marketplaces, again, to save time on like search for, the right suppliers, right associations, okay? So now, when it comes to now reverse auctions here, right? So here, this is a really very interesting shift which has taken place, as I've mentioned to you, that rather than having a manual system of reverse auction, right? Doing it on electronic manner has been a really good boon for this industry. For the sourcing domain. Why? Because now this RFQs, like or request for proposals, right? They are generated automatically, right? And see, one e request for X or quotations or proposals as compared to request for quotations, right, which are mostly on manual system. If you would compare, what would happen? Okay, so in one aspect, if it is manual, what would you do? In manual system, you would announce the tender, right? And mostly when tenders are announced, it is asked for two-stage bids. One is technical or functional, right? So you would announce the tenders with dates of last date of submission of bids, and it is all rules are mentioned that what specifications the buyer is looking for, right? And they would set a date that by that date technical bids would be evaluated, right? And after technical bids are evaluated, only few suppliers who would be shortlisted are invited for the reverse auctions, or you can say for bidding. Okay, now in this bidding process, what happens, like in manual system or traditional system, right, the companies are invited, the shortlisted supplier companies are invited, and then there are different rules. One rule can be like they are invited with the sealed bids of the prices, or they are told to post the sealed bids, right, before the meeting, but those sealed bids are opened at a specified time in presence of suppliers, the shortlisted suppliers, okay? And then after that, the bids are opened and the lowest bid is awarded the contract. So this is this thing, a standard procedure. Now, what are the issues in that procedure? Like when you have the manually doing the reverse auctions, right? Reverse auction means you have opened the seal bids and you would give award to the lowest bid, in contrast to the forward auction where it is actually the higher bidder get the award, right? So now this has been the reverse auction, okay? Now just think, when we would move from reverse auction to e-reverse auction, what kind of benefits one can have? Once we would move from e-reverse auction, e-reverse, E stands for electronic. That means rather than inviting suppliers manually, I can do something online, correct? Now what would happen? Okay, so we will discuss that at length, right? So one thing is that do it in electronic version. Other thing, electronic version would have its own advantages. More vendors can be accommodated, right? And during reverse auction process, vendors can be allowed to change the prices, rather than in a manual system where vendors will get only one time opportunity of quoting price, done. Okay, so now what is the other issue in the traditional reverse auctions? that you know you would be, as a supplier, you would be quoting single price for a particular product. Okay, but now we have moved from that era to current era, where I want suppliers to participate with multiple bids. Means, I, as a supplier, I would like to say that if order would be of this much level, right, I would charge this price. If order is beyond particular level, I will charge another price. If you will buy product A with product B, the prices would be like this. Okay. So now this option was not there in the reverse auction, because for me as a buyer, evaluating this multiple quotes, right, is very difficult thing. That's where, eBid optimization, that plays a very important role, where it extends traditional bid system, right, so that suppliers are allowed to configure their bids in any number of alternate ways, right. One is, see here, eBid optimization. Now one can see how a reverse auction can go like in a complicated manner, right. For example, buyer's requirement is transportation required for 600 ocean shipping lanes, right. Just imagine, at one end we are talking about the traditional reverse auctions, where one supplier can bid for a product with one price, that's it. Now other hand, now we see that like we are allowing suppliers, right, where in this case that suppliers can have 3 permissible container size, right. So they can actually quote anything like considering this 3 permissible container size, right. That means same supplier can actually quote multiple bids. Okay. So given that, now how to evaluate? How to evaluate the best bid? Okay. Now you see the complexity here, right. So because reverse auctions are okay, electronic reverse auctions are like when it comes to just single product, single price, one can really, there also one can see the advantage, but the real advantage is eBid optimization, electronic bid optimization, where suppliers have multiple options to bid for.